Hello everyone, I'm teacher Winnie. So today we will discuss on Physics SPM Trial 2021, Terengganu Paper 2. So let's look at the first questions. So for first questions, is actually on Form 5 topic, Chapter 5, Electronic on Semiconductor Diode. Okay, diagram 1 shows an electrical circuit using electronic component X. Let's look at the question first. So they want you to name the electronic component X and underline the correct answer. The X component allows current to flow in one way or two way. So we look back at this diagram. So basically, what is this? This is actually the symbol of diode. Yeah, so component X is diode lah. And what is the function of diode? To allow current to flow in one direction when you connect to a battery or an AC circuit. Also, this is the answer for A, and for B, to allow current to flow in one direction. So this is the general idea. Okay, so when the switch is on, what will happen to the bulb? And give your reason. So we look back at this diagram. Okay, so if you all remember, diode actually have this made up by these two material where we call it as P-type material and also N-type material. Okay, this is P, this is N. Where P-type, they will have excess of hole, while N-type, they will have excess of electron. So if you were to connect P-type to positive terminal and N-type to negative terminal, so this connection is called forward bias. If it is forward bias, that means they allow the current to flow. So how does it work is, when this PN junction of material, I draw bigger a bit, when they are joining, okay, so by right, they actually will produce a region, what we call it as depletion region at the middle, whereby some of the electron from N-type will actually cross over and causing this PN junction, when they have a depletion or there is no charge, and they actually have lack of this electron over here and causing it to become positive, while this part become negative. Okay, so if you would to let this electron to move across, if you want it to move across, therefore you need to provide an extra potential outside the circuit. So what you do is, you want the electron to move to the left side, right? So that means your left side should be a positive terminal battery or negative positive. So what happened is, basically the electron able to cross over and causing this depletion region getting thinner. Okay, but if you are doing the reverse, let's say now you have this diode. I'm drawing the same thing, but you interchange the terminal. That means this one become what? This one become negative and this one become positive. So what happened to the idea is, this connection is called reverse bias. Reverse bias. So again, we look back on this diagram. So which means now teacher change. Okay, I use green color lah. So the battery become the violet, which means this is negative. So what happened to the electron now? See, this one no longer exists. Instead of you cause this electron to move across, what happens if they would to attract to positive terminal? They will move this way, right? So hole is basically have net positive charge. Of course, they won't move, but if they were to move, they will be attracted to negative one. So what happens is, you will cause this region getting bigger, wider. So the barrier is getting bigger. That's mean causing high resistance. Therefore, no current able to flow. And hence, the bulb will not light up one. So hopefully you'll have some idea on what is called forward bias and reverse bias. Okay, so of course, for the answer in this case, the bulb will light up. Why? Because the connection of diode is in forward bias. Okay, for number 2 is still in Form 5 topic, but it's on nuclear physics, particularly focused on nuclear energy. So diagram 2.1 show a process of nuclear reaction in a nuclear reactor to generate electricity. Okay, if you were to look at the equation, this is actually uranium. Uranium is being bombarded by a neutron. Okay, then what happened? It actually become very unstable and they split to become xenon and also strontium. Okay, and at the same time, they also release 2 more neutron again and also energy lah. Okay, so the idea that split unstable nucleus to 2 lighter one, or heavy nucleus to become 2 lighter nuclide. We call this process as nuclear fission. So I always tell students, fission means split. And another reaction you're supposed to learn in this topic is nuclear fusion. Fusion will be the reverse. You combine 2 lighter nuclide to form a heavy nucleus. Okay, so the first question you see, normally they will ask you all what are the basic one. Like this one, name the nuclear reaction that happened in the nuclear reactor. So hence we call this as nuclear fission. Okay, and if we to look at the equation, right, when this process occur, whether nuclear fission or nuclear fusion, so there will be a large amount of energy being created. So what is this energy used for? Actually, this energy will turn to heat energy. So now B, they're asking how nuclear reactions can continue and how you can use it to generate electricity. Of course, the total marks is only 2 marks lah. You basically no need to give all the point that I'm going to show you right now. Okay, so generally, if you notice the neutron that come out, right? What means you hit it with 1 neutron, then they split. But at the same time, they produce 2 neutrons. Most of the equation, they will actually produce 3 neutrons. So what happened with all these 3 neutrons? They will actually find more unstable nucleus to bombard. So that's why this is called chain reaction, which means it is a self-sustaining reaction that causes a continuous reactions to occur. Okay, and the equation E equals to mc squared is based on the mass defect where these have changed to heat energy. Like just now you see the equation. So mass defect is actually the mass before reaction minus after. Means you calculate this mass, this is called parent nuclei, then you minus the mass. Yeah, so you will notice there is a mass that reduced. So this is called mass defects, and based on what Einstein say, right, E equals to mc squared, you have chain to become energy. Yeah. Okay, so chain reaction occurs, mass defect chain to heat energy, and then this heat energy in nuclear reactor is basically used to boil the water and produce steam. And then this steam is actually used to turn the turbine. And lastly, produce electrical energy. Okay, so maybe this part, you may miss out 1 point. It's still acceptable because total point is 2 marks. So this is 1 mark. Okay, and then this one is another mark. Okay, so giving the mass defect is 0.1876 U. U is mean atomic mass unit because the mass of this atom is so small, right? You see, 1 atomic mass unit is about 1.66 times 10 power negative 27 kg. So most of the time when doing calculations or they want to compare, they actually use the smaller unit, which is atomic mass unit for subatomic particles, right? Okay, so to calculate the energy, you're going to use the formula E equals to mc squared. But when you use this equation, unit for energy is actually in joule. If it is in joule, that means your mass must be in kg, and your cc is actually light, speed of light, okay? The speed of light must also in the unit of meter per second. Yeah, then only when you expand this, then you will get the units as joule. Okay, so now the given mass defect is in atomic mass unit. If you want to change U to kg, what you do? You multiply. But vice versa, you will divide. So that's why when you sub in this mass, always be careful. It must be in kg, in kilogram. So now we times this value. And then speed of light is actually given in the formula list, or they're supposed to be in the questions, which is 3 times 10 power of 8. And right? And then make sure you square it, because a lot of times students forgot to square, and hence you get the wrong answer. And if possible, press calculator at least 2 times to check what is your final answer. Supposedly you will get about 2.803 if 3 decimal point times 10 power negative 11 joule. Now, of course, you can leave it as 2.80 if you want to. It's always 2 to 4 decimal point for final answer. And make sure you write the final unit joule. Without unit is wrong. Okay, this is from answer scheme. Yeah, you can find the mass aside first, then only sub also can. Okay, moving on, number 3 is still in for 5 topic, which is the last chapter, quantum physics. This one is under quantum theory of light. Okay, diagram 3.1 shows a spectrum produced by mercury lamp light. If you notice, you will see a lot of line over here, all this. So basically, all these line, they will have different color, different color. Okay, so what is this spectrum? Name the spectrum. It's actually called line spectrum. It's called line spectrum. So what is this? The characteristic of this spectrum. So generally, you by right should learn about this electromagnetic wave also, right? Then that one is called electromagnetic spectrum, and basically there is a range, right? Or it is according to colors. You also have a range. So, but then line spectrum is, they are so special. Individual line, they will have their specific frequency or wavelength, and hence scientists can use this line spectrum to determine the elements. What elements is that? Okay, because all their patterns will be slightly different with the arrangement of all these lines. So that's why the characteristic is each color line have unique wavelength or frequency. Okay, so based on your answer, deduce energy released by spectrum that you name it. Okay, so actually quantum physics, everything is about the energy is in a discrete form, right? So the line spectrum is why they can have unique frequency of wavelength, because the energy is also in a discrete form. Okay, so the energy is emitted by the radiation of light spectrum is discrete or in a discrete form. You can say like that. So based on light spectrum of mercury lamp, relate quantity of energy with frequency radiated to deduce the meaning of quantum energy. So they want you to give relationship. So basically the relationship of this energy and frequency, right? If you all know this topic, they are directly proportional. And when you change this sign to equal sign, you must follow by a constant. And this constant is actually called Planck constant. And you have E equals to HF. And this energy is what we call it as photon, or the energy in a discrete form. So quantum means the quantity of energy that discrete is actually directly proportional to the frequency. Or you can give the relationship. But it's good that you give in full terms. You say the photon energy is directly proportional to frequency. So part D. A laser pointer produces a beam and photons particles of wavelength of 6.5 times 10 power negative 7 meter. And they give you some value, constant, Planck constant, then speed. Calculate the energy of photons. So just now I already derived out the formula for you. General formula, photon energy or quantum energy is equals to H frequency. But in this question, they didn't give you any quantity that relate to frequency. They give you what? They give you the wave length, right? And Planck constant H you already have here, right? So how do you relate this wavelength with frequency? Okay, so you all remember what you all learned in wave topic, right? V is equals to F lambda speed. And in this context, because all the electromagnetic wave, light wave, they are all have the same speed, which is speed of light, and they use C. C equals to F frequency. So F is basically what? C over lambda. So that's why I can also change this formula to become H C over lambda. Okay, so do you have speed? That's why they give you speed. And they give you Planck constant. Okay, then you just sub accordingly lah. If according to the given informations, 6.33 times 10 power negative 34. Speed of light is 3 times 10 power of 8, power of 2, the whole thing, divide by wavelength, 6.5 times 10 power negative 7. Okay, again, teacher always want to emphasize one. Whenever you all divide, right? If the bottom you have in the standard form multiply something, make sure you bracket when you put in calculator. If you do not have the fraction form, you want to use the division form. So you must always type up this value, then you bracket everything, and then only you put the sign, divide, okay? Then must put bracket, or else your answer in terms of power, right, it always will be mistake lah, right? So if you really press calculator carefully again, you involve a very small number, all these, but the Planck constant is so small. So by right, the correct answer supposingly to be about 2.9215 times 10 power negative 19 joule, right? Or you can write 2.92 lah, minimum 2 decimal point lah, right? So from the answer scheme, this is all the answer. But just for information, basically Planck constant is not 6.33. The correct value is 6.63 times 10 power negative 34. But then if let's say SPM, they memang give you this type of value, you just follow. So you by right no need to memorize all these constant value one. And if you want to be faster, right, you can actually press calculator for this value of H, right? Constant 0.6. You will see this value one. Yeah. Okay, then we move on to questions 4. Now, questions 4 now is in Form 4 topic gravitations. So an object of mass m is at a height of 3r above the Earth's face, where the Earth radius r is 6.37 times 10 power of 6 meter. Name the type of motions experienced by the object when it falls to the ground. So all the object will fall. What means if you throw anything lah. So when the object fall, what happened to the velocity? Increases, correct? Or more easier, we will always say therefore with an acceleration, and this acceleration is gravitational acceleration, or you can say therefore a constant acceleration, because they actually ask the type of motion, right? So you can also use the term of move at constant gravitational acceleration. Okay, then there's A, if an object of greater mass fall from the same position, state whether the type of motion you state in A will increase, decrease, or unchanged. Okay, so when you're doing the pendulum experiment, by right, you're supposed to know that acceleration due to gravity does not depend on mass. And under gravitation topic, you'll also learn about the gravitational acceleration formula. Okay, so remember what formula is that? That formula, G equals to what? You link with what? The gravitational constant Gm over R square one. So this G is gravitational constant. M is actually mass of Earth. R is actually the distance from the center of the Earth to the center of the object that move around the Earth. So basically, this equation do not have the mass of object. So that's why your object, which is kind of heavier, lighter, they won't affect this value one. So that's why your answer is unchanged. So like I mentioned just now, you can actually show out this equation, and then you explain what is G refer to, what is M refer to, what is R refers to. Okay, and therefore you can just say they does not depends on the mass. Yeah, then you will actually get 2 marks already. the factor that actually affects this gravitational acceleration is only r, the distance only, and not g and m, because they are actually constant value. Okay, moving on. Diagram 4.2 shows a graph to show the ratios of the type of motion you have named in A, where P is the surface of Earth. So label both exist in the box provided. So what is the y-axis? What is the x-axis? So if you do notice, the r is the radius of Earth, then they're getting further from it. So of course, x-axis should be the distance. Actually, what is y-axis? Y-axis is supposed to be gravitational acceleration. Okay, so if you were to look at this graph, right? Basically, this beginning part, why the relationship is directly proportional. So if teacher were to draw a simple diagram to represent the idea, so let's say this is your Earth. The radius of Earth from here to here is basically r. So when they are from the center of the core of the Earth until the surface, right, basically the relationship is directly proportional here to here. Okay, I think I put it red also, easy for you to get the idea. But when an object is getting further and further and further away from the surface of Earth, like what means astronaut go to the moon, what happened to the value of G? That indeed will decrease, right? Or you based on just now the formula, G is what? Capital GM over R square. So this is when G is inversely proportional to R square. So that's why you will have this shape. Okay, so the memang is inversely proportional one. Yeah, for this part. But for this part, G is directly proportional to R lah. So what is the value of G at point P? So all of us is on Earth, right? So what is the value of gravitational acceleration? You're supposed to be quite familiar, right? 9.81. Because whenever you use the formula W equals to mg, so this value is 9.81. You don't need round off to become 10. Yeah, new syllabus that insists one you have to use the accurate answer, more accurate answer. Okay, so for part D, the value of G affects human growth. On the table below, state one effect against low G value in the circulatory system and bone fragility. Okay, again, I need to do some correction lah. So supposedly not low gravity lah, low value of G or low gravitational acceleration. Better term, because gravity is actually gravitational force. So it's like kind of not so accurate in the term used. Yeah. Okay, so in terms of blood circulation, so basically they will actually all focus on the upper part. The blood tends to collect in the upper part of the body. So you will have a facial edema or decrease in the ability to absorb oxygen, slow down the body cardiovascular activity. Now, what happened to your bone fragility? They are quite fragile one. Why? Because there's no heavy load on the back and the leg muscle. And then the muscles start to become shrink and causing the bones become brittle or osteoporosis lah. So you see double slash mean any answer that you give will be actually correct lah. No need to give all. Okay, then moving on, question 5 is from 4 topic under the idea of light, refraction of light. So question 5 and 6, they always on this conceptualization, they like to ask you all to compare. So teacher always say, this type of question you all must try to answer, even though you may not have a strong concept, unless the term given is very hard for you to find from the diagram. But basically, you see they show you I, R, and all this you can try to answer one. Okay, so diagram 5.1 and 5.2 show the phenomenon of refraction of light when propagating through two mediums, different mediums. So what is mean by refraction? Okay, so refraction, as you all know, the general idea, if like you see a spoon or a straw bend in a glass, correct? Yeah. So why that bend? So you can say change in direction. Why they change in direction? Because there is a change in velocity. So basically, refraction is what? The change in velocity of light when propagating in medium of different optical density. Example, the ray travel from air to water, air to glass, air to a diamond, and so on. Yeah. So give one reason why the light ray undergoes bending after propagating in different medium as shown in 5.1 and 5.2. Okay, so let's see where is your incident ray. Your incident ray is in air, right? And then they will actually bend towards or away from normal. They actually bend towards. Why they bend towards and not away from normal? If there's no bending means like this called no bending. So the ray that lower than that, we say towards normal. The ray that above here, we call it away from normal. Now they bend towards normal because when they are in a denser medium, they are in the optically a denser medium. So basically, they will actually slow down. The ray will slow down. So this is how you explain the light ray travels slower when travel from a lower optical density medium to a higher optical density medium. Now, the term optical density is really slightly different from normal density that you all know. Normal density idea is like less than they float, right? Denser they sink, okay? But optically density, they link to the idea of how fast and how slow the light ray can travel in that medium lah. So if let's say they are optically denser medium, they are actually slower. They bend more. Okay, now based on diagram, compare the angle of refraction. They see, if you do not know what is R initially, they tell you now already. So this is 32, this is 21. So how you mention, you say the angle of refraction in diagram 5.2 is bigger or vice versa. In diagram 5.2 is smaller. Okay, do not make a habit like give short form only. Oh, you just give like this. Or some student they like think can I just write like this way, like 5.1 more than 5.2. It is not advisable because it seems like too short right? So is advisable to give what is given. Yeah. Then refractive index N. Right? You see, they give you the symbols of more. So in refractive index in this 5.1 will be smaller than you can use the full term like I mentioned, 5.2 bigger, 5.1 smaller. But you say refractive index lah. Okay, then optical density. So optical density you always relate with what? Relate with actually refractive index lah. So if the refractive index is higher, basically density of object also higher one. So of course diamond have a higher optical density. Yeah. 5.2 have higher lor. And then you relate the angle of refraction at refractive index. You just tell the relationship increase, or increase, decrease. So based on you see, based on what you give this in angle and refraction so 5.1 bigger, 5.2 smaller. So that means the other way around, right? So this means you can say when angle of refraction increases, refractive index decreases, or you can say inversely proportional. They accept the word inversely proportional. And then refractive index and optical density, then they are directly proportional, increase. So this is comparison questions lah. Okay, E. If the angle of incident in 5.2 change to 70, so now this part becomes 70. So what happened to your R now? But you are still using the same medium diamond. So the formula for refractive index is actually psi I over psi R. And I want to find psi R. So psi R equals to psi I divided by N. Correct? So my I is actually 70. my n is actually 2.42. Okay, then you by right after press calculator, you will get about 0.3883. But this is sine R. I don't want sine R. I want angle. So how do I get the angle? You press calculator, shift sign. But the value here, then you will get the answer in terms of degree, which is 22.85 degree. So if you were to see the idea, when the incident angle increases, basically refracted angle also getting increases. You see initially is 60.21, now 70.22.85. Okay, question 6 is still in the conceptualization question, still comparison, and now it is on Form 5 topic, Chapter 2 pressure, on the concept of Archimedes principle. Okay, diagram 6.1 show two identical bottles P and Q filled with sand floating stationary in the water. Okay, tick the correct answer in the box provided. So bottle Q floats stationary in the water because, so the keyword is actually here, float stationary. If they do not have the word stationary also, if they just mention float, by right you have some concept is any object that is floating, it seems like not moving, agree? So if they are not moving, you need to link with the resultant force idea. So that means the object is in an equilibrium state and they were actually having a zero resultant force. Okay, that means if they were to ask you to label the force acting on the object, right, you always label on the object. Okay, the downward force is actually the weight and the upward force is actually the buoyant force. So if net force 0 means the value of above must be same as below. So that's why your answer is supposed to be the third one. B. Observe diagram 6.1. Compare the weight of both bottles P and Q. Now, if you were to notice, both objects now is same medium in the same water. Okay, how come P float higher but Q float lower? Of course, Q will be much more heavier, agree? Yes. So that's why the weight of Q is greater. Agree? Okay, then they say compare the volume of bottle P and Q immersed. This one so much. This is the volume. This one lesser, right? Compare. So same thing like the volume of bottle Q immersed is greater. Okay, so then compare the weight of water displaced by P and Q. So the volume of object submerged is basically equals to the volume of liquid displaced as well. The water displaced. Yeah, if you were to do activity using Eureka can, right? So whenever you put a block, if you submerge the block fully, they will displace the water out. So this volume of water you measure is same or calculate, then you is same as the volume of object. Can? So again, Q will be greater. Yeah, so you can use the symbol greater sign, smaller sign like the previous question 5, or you can use the term greater, smaller. Again, full terms, teachers say you all don't use like short form Q, bigger P like that. Don't. Okay, it's SPM. So you always give full answer, right? Okay, then now you need to state the relationship between weight of the water displaced with the volume of the bottle immersed. So when the volume immersed greater, the weight of water displaced also greater. Then in this context, the volume of water displaced with the volume of the bottle immersed is greater. Okay, so when the volume immersed greater, the weight of water displaced also greater. Then in this context, the volume of water displaced with the volume of the bottle immersed is greater. Okay, so when the volume immersed greater, the weight of water displaced with the volume of the bottle immersed is greater. Then in this context, what is the relationship between the weight of water displaced with weight of the bottles? Okay, now, if you all know the idea of Archimedes' principle, right? Archimedes' principle state that what? Buoyant force is actually the same as the weight of liquid displaced when the object is fully or partially submerged in the fluid. Now, if you notice just now when we show you this bottle in the water, they have weight and also buoyant force. So this weight is actually referred to the weight of bottles or object, correct? So we say that their relationship is what? Equal. But in this context, buoyant force is also weight of liquid displaced, right? So they want you to link with the weight of water displaced and weight of bottle. So there should be what? Same as well. Okay, equal. And actually, most of the time, under Archimedes' principle, or especially the case for floating, they always want you to use the term equal. Instead of higher, like that, okay? Especially the idea of buoyant force and weight of liquid displaced. Yeah, because it's the concept of Archimedes principle. Okay, then, extra points based on questions on Archimedes' idea. Diagram 6.2 show a boat with 2 passengers and load moving from the sea to river. Now, they are at sea. Then they go to river. Can you predict when they are at sea? Then when they are reaching the river, right? What happened to your boat? Or will your boat still at the higher position? Example, this is the pool volume. So when they go to river, should they go higher or lower? They will float lower already. Why? Because river have low density. Okay, so it become dangerous, right? So what can you do so that it is safer for you? Okay, so basically what can you do is, you say the immersion level increases when it moves towards the river. So what should be done to make sure that the boat is not sink? You unload the loads from the boats lah, or remove lah. You use any term, or you take away the loads from the boats. Okay, so you cause what is the reason behind it? You cause the total weight of the boat become what? Less weight of the boat reduce, and also volume of water displaced become less, and hence the weight of water displaced also reduce. So what is the law that involved on this situation? You can give the answer law of flotation, or actually this is relating to Archimedes' principle lah. So either one also can be accepted lah. Yeah, now on question 7 in section A. So diagram segment 1, 7.1 show a heating element of an electric brake toaster with specification of 200 volt and 100 watt. So they like to ask one, this is called power rating. This value is called power rating. Actually, all the electrical appliances have this power rating. That means when we plug to the power supply, so all the households in Malaysia, when you plug in your electronic device, any electrical device lah, when you cucuk masuk. So basically, we are supplied with 240 volt, right? So this watt is referred to the context of power. Okay. So if you all know the formula for power is actually rate of energy dissipated. So we normally will ask students change the idea of power become energy per second, where the unit is in joule per second. So how do you explain this specification? Which means this toaster will actually use how much of energy in 1 second? 100 joule of energy in 1 second. Yeah, so memang you perform the idea to become energy per second. So this is the definition. 100 joule of energy is used in 1 second when connected to a 240 volt power supply. So when the electric brake toaster is connected to a 240 volt supply and used to toast breads, calculate the current that flow through the heating element in the bread toaster. So if you remember just now, our specification is how much? 240 volt and also 100 watt, right? Okay, yeah. So you have volt and power, and they want you to find current. So what is the formula? The formula is actually from 3.4. You need to know a few formula that actually being derived out, whereby energy equals to what? VIT. Energy also equals to I square RT. Energy also equals to V square over RT. Then power is energy over time. Hence, you divide the time, you cancel out the time. That P equals to VI, P equals to I square R, P equals to V square over R. So in this context, we will always use this. So if you find it hard to remember all this formula and not really provided in formula list, I think this formula is kind of popular lah, and easy to remember. I always tell students physics very important. Physics very important. So I want to find I, P divided by V. Hence, you have 100 divided by 240. And you're supposed to get your answer about 0.417 ampere. Okay, I must write the unit ampere. Memang if they come out this topic, they like to ask this few formula lah. Yeah, so you're trying to remember lah how to derive out. Okay, next. A student conduct experiment to compare the heating effect of bread toaster, PQ and R. 2 slices of bread are toasted each time, and table 7 show the result of the experiment. Okay, so first they want you to calculate the energy supplied by each of bread toaster to toast 2 slices of bread. Okay, they give you what quantity? You have voltage, potential difference, same thing. You have current, you have time. Just now I show you all the formula for energy, right? So what energy, which one? Just now got remember any of it? Supposed to be what? VIT. So this one is also kind of easy to remember. I tell a student with dummy, okay, at least lah. If they are not really given in the formula list, then at least through this idea you can still remember. Yeah, because if they do not give your, they will give your marks for formula one. Okay, so you can do it one by one, like for P, E equals to 240 SI unit or everything, 0.6. The time amount in second, and the answer in joule. Then do for the next one for Q, E equals to 240 times 0.5 times 100, then in joule. And lastly for R, E equals to 240 times 0.4 and 120 joule. So hence you will get the answer for the respective toaster. P, the energy is about 1.3 times 10 power 4. Then Q is 1.2 times 10 power 4. R is 1.15 times 10 power 4. That means P use the most energy, or R the least energy. Okay. So this question 7, they normally will ask you all like similar like section B essay question. Using your answer in 7C, state the most suitable bread toaster to toast bread. So do you want to use more energy or less energy to toast the bread? Supposedly least energy, right? Yeah, so you can save more energy, ma. Yes. So by right, your answer is R. Reason, lowest energy use or save energy, like teacher mentioned. Now we are in questions 8. Is on the wave topic from 4 regarding the concept of resonance, damping and resonance. So diagram 8.1 shows 2 photographs of the Tacoma Narrow Bridge in Washington State, USA that collapsed on July 1st, 1940 due to resonance. So what is the meaning of resonance? Now, the meaning of resonance is kind of hard to remember, but try our best to remember it lah. It means if a system, a vibrating system or oscillating system, is forced to vibrate on its own natural frequency, right? Actually, all objects that have a natural frequency, a fundamental frequency lah. that they cause the object start to vibrate one. Yeah. So happen if you have external force that cause the frequency of these objects the same as their natural frequency. What happen is the object will vibrate at maximum amplitude, and hence they will actually causing the what like this case of the Tacoma Bridge actually collapse lah. So according to textbook, a resonance is when a periodic force is applied to an oscillating system at its natural frequency. Then, like I say, the system will vibrate with its natural frequency and also vibrate at maximum amplitude. Okay, so other than Tacoma Bridge idea, I give you another example is whenever opera singers sing, right? Oh, okay, suddenly the glass can break. Why the glass break? Okay, it's not because you must very loud. It's because so happen the frequency of the opera singer. You all know the frequency idea, right? Frequency is related to pitch, do re mi fa sol la ti do. Yeah, so that movement, the frequency produced by opera singer, the same as the natural frequency of the glass. So the particle in the glass will vibrate at maximum amplitude, hence its break. Then moving on, based on diagram 8.1 and the data taken in the shipai.org web, the blowing wind have a speed and frequency of 19 meters per second and also 0.6 hertz respectively. Calculate the wavelength. So what formula that relates speed, frequency, and wavelength? So you have V equals to F lambda. Now we want to calculate lambda. Rearrange the formula first. Lambda equals to V over F. Are they all in SI unit? Yes. So you just put the value inside lah. 19 divided by 0.6 and you will get 31.67 meter. Yeah. Okay, then part C. So part C, for this question X, right, they will actually have this problem solving questions, which is similar like section C essay questions lah. You need to do some modification. Yeah, so diagram 8.2 show two shock absorber spring. This one, on a motorcycle. So using appropriate physics concept, explain the use of appropriate materials and specific design to further improve the suspension system on a motorcycle and riders' comfort while traveling on uneven roads based on the following aspect. Okay, normally for car absorber, right, for your understanding, should the spring be like stiff or less stiff? Any idea? Should this spring, right, easy to compress, extend, or they must be harder, a bit like less bouncy? Yeah, so they should be less bouncy, correct? Yeah, so we say the spring constant should be high. For high spring constant, the length of spring should be short. So the reason you can say high spring constant, or the spring is harder, or less vibration or oscillation. Next, the number of oscillation produced while receiving a shock. So when you cross over a bump, okay, do you want your motorcycle to be like vibrate like that, or you just vibrate like just like really absorb the shock lah? So what is the purpose of absorb the shock, right? One less vibration, right? So of course less law, okay, low frequency or less vibration. And lastly, what is the material for the spring? Now, if you do not know the actual material, you don't need to give the actual material. You just need to say what? Okay, strong. I'll use those terms lah. But I will prefer you use the term strong metal or strong material. Reason normally you can say will not break easily. Okay, because if you use steel, then you can say strong lah. Okay. I think more suitable answer should be will not break easily lah. Common answer. You don't say strong and strong, then you only get 1 marks lah, basically. Okay. So you can see this question actually combine the wave idea on resonance, right? Then suddenly again go to the elasticity from 5 topic. Yeah. So we actually finish section A. We will proceed to essay questions. Okay, so for essay questions for this Terengganu paper, now the first question, which is question 9, is on the idea on heat from 4 topics. Okay, so basically for physics essay questions for section B, there will be 2 questions and you can choose 1 questions, while section C only 1 question and compulsory answer. So it is good that you all go through the whole question 9 and question 10, then only you decide which question to do. Okay, so we look at the questions now. Diagram 9.1 show one phenomenon which is occur in daily life. So what is this phenomenon, right? You all learn in geography as well. So the wind blow from where? You blow from the sea to the land. So therefore we call them as sea breeze, correct? If the other way around, that is called land breeze lah. Okay, so by using the related physics concept, so how sea breeze occur? Now, it's kind of similar like what you all learn in lower form. It's just that you all need to explain the idea of specific heat capacity. Okay, so basically in daytime, when there is a hot sun, okay, so liquid and land, which one actually have a high specific capacity? Symbol is C. So generally, C will have high specific heat capacity, but land have low specific heat capacity. So what is the meaning of specific heat capacity? Amount of heat needed to increase the mass of 1 kg of substance by 1 degree Celsius, which means if the value is small, simple concept, if you do not know what is that, okay, that means that actually can heat up quickly. But if the value is big, that means they take time to heat up. So because seawater have bigger value of this specific capacity, 4,200, compared to land, they have a smaller value. So which one will heat up faster? So like teacher mentioned, memang land will heat up faster. Okay, and therefore the hot air from the land is hotter ma. Okay, then next step, you talk about what happened to hot air. Hot air is denser or less than? Hot air is actually less than. If they are less dense, right, that means they will rise up. And hence, the cool air from the sea will blow towards the land. So this is how it works lah. Okay, the lands heat up quickly compared to the sea, first point. And then you say land have low specific capacity. And you can also say that hot air less dense, hot air less dense. Therefore, hot air rises and cool air from the sea move towards the land. Okay, so 4 marks, you must have at least 4 points lah. But if you have more idea, you can give more. Okay. Next, these type of questions, basically they will have 5 marks on calculations. Okay, so in the experiment, 2 kg of seawater was heated using a 400 watt electric heater for 300 seconds and the temperature rise of 15.4 degrees Celsius. By assuming no heat is released to the environment, calculate the heat energy produced by the heater. Okay, so general idea, you're supposed to know electrical energy produced by heater is actually a power time time. So hence you have E or Q lah equals to PT. So E is referred to electrical energy in this context. So are they giving you the power? Yeah, so this is mass, this is power, this is time, this is a change in temperature. So very direct, you just need to use 400 times with 300. And before you stop, you always careful lah. It's all the quantity in SI unit. But this question, they're direct, or they didn't like test you, like they change the time into like minutes, like 5 minutes, or then you may forgot to change, then you will be wrong lah. So hence, you're supposed to get 120,000 joule. Make sure you write unit, correct working, correct answer with unit, then only marks. Next, moving on, you need to find specific capacity of the seawater. So, of course, the idea of specific capacity, general formula is actually Q equals to M C theta. But in this context, your heat energy is come from the heater. Yeah, so you can actually write PT equals to MC theta. And PT is 120,000 joule. Or what you calculate just now, then just put inside. Do they give you the mass? Yes. C is specific heat capacity. C is specific capacity. And theta is change in temperature. Then you rearrange, you will get your C as 3898.1 joule per kilogram per degree Celsius. How do you actually get the unit? Okay, C equals to what in general? Q over M theta. So what is the unit for Q? Joule. Mass is kg. Temperature is degrees Celsius. So joule, kg, -1, degrees Celsius, -1, because per. Okay, so it's from the answer scheme. Okay, moving on. Section B essay question always have 10 marks question that will give you a table and then ask you to choose the best choice, right? So the format of this, you all must be careful. Now, diagram 9.2 shows the arrangement of operators to determine the specific capacity of aluminium block. So do you do this experiment in school? So by right, you should have some general idea regarding this. So you want to know the specific capacity of the aluminium block. Okay, so the general formula is what? Q equals to MC theta, and you want to find C. And in this context, the heat is actually come from the heater. So based on calculation just now, you know that you can change to PT equal MC theta. Hence, to find specific capacity, you need to have C equals to PT over M theta, right? So, you know the power of the heater, you know how long, you use stopwatch to get the time. Example, again, 5 minutes, 300 seconds. And then you need to measure the mass of the block. What is the mass of this aluminium block? Then you on the power supply, start the heater. Okay, before you start, you need to get the initial temperature first. Initial. Then after, like I say, about 5 minutes or 300 seconds, you stop the heater plus the power supply, and then you wait a while. See, is there still any rise in temperature or not? So the final temperature minus the initial temperature is the change in temperature over here, and this is how you calculate the specific capacity. Okay, so for the whole experiment, the most important thing is you want to reduce heat loss to the surrounding. Okay, so that's why they will put the wrapper, they will put the liner. So all these liner, wrapper, should they be a heat conductor or heat insulator? They're supposed to be what? Heat insulator. I explain first so that later on you'll know why. Okay, so let's see what they ask. They say table 9.1 show the materials that are able to be used in the arrangement of the apparatus, and you're assigned to investigate the materials shown in table 9.1. Explain the suitability of each material in table 9.1, then determine the most suitable set of apparatus to be used to determine the specific heat capacity of aluminium block. State the reason for your answer. So for this type of question, I always tell students, if you're not sure about example, what type of liquid should be in the hole, let's say you no idea, you didn't do this experiment, you don't know. Okay, you go and choose the characteristic that you like more confidence, like power of heater. You want to heat up the block faster or take time? Want it faster, right? So heater should be high power or low power? High. Okay, then this means this two is not the choice. Then you will have a closer answer already. Now, just now I got mentioned, right? Wrapper liner, the purpose is to reduce heat loss. So there should be heat insulator. So should it be tissue paper or aluminum foil? Tissue paper. Okay, so confirm X and Z memang not suitable one. Okay, then for the liner, what should you put? Boom, cannot also what? Okay. Also, asbestos is actually his insulator also lah. And lastly, what should you put inside? You're supposed to put oil. What is the function of this oil? Is actually have a better convection. Or you can like the heater provided by the heater is directly transferred to the block. As air is actually heat insulator. And why water is not suitable is because water will evaporate. Okay, yeah, so obviously, what is your answer that have all ticks? Why? Okay, then this type of question, you always construct a table like this, and left side is characteristic, right side is reason. Okay, so the first one, you just you no need to explain one by one, straight away you just say, okay, the wrapper should be what, the liner should be what, the liquid use should be what, okay, power should be what. Then lastly, you say I choose why. Okay, like this, the wrapper should be tissue paper. So what is the function of tissue paper? That act as heat insulator or prevent heat loss lah. Then the liner should be asbestos. Similar answer. But of course, if can, you do not repeat the same answer. But let's say you really no idea, then better you write the same answer than leave it blank. Sometimes they will accept more than one time lah, same answer. Then the liquid in the hole should be what? Oil. Why? You have a good heat thermal contact or have a better convection. And lastly, the power should be high. Why? More heat produced, heat up faster. So this is how you write. And then only lastly, you choose. You say the most suitable set of operators is why? Because the wrapper, you just repeat what you say on the left-hand side. Repeat again. Then you get the 10 marks. So mark 1, mark 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. That's why if you were to choose correct, you choose Y correctly, right? You memang supposed to have 6 out of 10 marks already. If let's say you do not know the reason. Okay, so that's why when you all choose these essay questions, if you do have time, you can try to answer both lah if you want. Okay, of course they will choose the one that you answer the highest marks lah. But then somehow do read through the question and do the one that you confidence first. Do because I think I want to answer all of them, but then you not enough time. Okay. So now questions 10. So question 10 is still the idea of these under making decision questions. You can choose 9 or 10 essay questions. Okay, the pattern is similar lah. First part you always will like definition, so or basic idea lah, or on this knowledge part. So based on 10.1, name the type of transformer. Okay, as you can see, where is the primary coil? Over here. So more or less number, this one, secondary more. So you step up, right? So this is step up transformer. Next, is concept idea. Referring to the diagram 10.1 and your knowledge about electromagnetic induction, explain the operation or principle of transformer. Okay, so how actually the transformer can step up or step down voltage is due to the difference in the number of turns. And again, the power that you use should be alternating current. Okay, the more common drawing that you all see is always rectangular shape, and then you have primary over here. Okay, and then secondary over here, and then connect to bulb lah. But then in this context, they actually use this kind of shape, but doesn't matter one. Also, it's still similar idea. Okay, so to let you have a better idea, I show you all this all easy to see. So why do you use alternating current? Is initially when the current supply, what happened to the coil that acts like electromagnet? They will produce what? Magnetic field. Then the magnetic field will cross over to the secondary coil, and the secondary coil is being cut. But what is mean by alternating current? Alternating current means they will change the direction of current every half cycle. That's mean what happened to all these now? Okay, when they change direction, they will collapse. Collapse. Okay, then appear. And change direction also like the field. And then collapse again. So we say that the field produced always changes in direction and magnitude because you're getting stronger than weaker. Yeah. So due to this change in the direction of the magnetic field and also the magnitude, they also cause a cutting of magnetic flux in secondary coil. Remember what is the idea that if the coil cut the magnetic field, this is the concept electromagnetic induction, correct? EMF is induced in the secondary coil. So if your coil is more on secondary, that's why your voltage is higher. You step up. Or hence, in this topic, you have this calculation, what? MP over NS equals to VP over Vs. That means the voltage depends on the number of turns. The more turns on secondary, that's why you step up, or vice versa. In less turn, then you step down. Correct? Okay, so in statement, how you explain it? Okay, you say, okay, AC power supply produce an alternating current in the primary coil. Then next you say what? The alternating current produce a magnetic field that changes in magnitude and direction in primary coil. Just now teacher explained, right? Then the magnetic flux, what happened? The linkage to the secondary coil. That's mean like they move and across to the secondary coil through the soft iron core. And lastly, the change in the magnetic flux induces an alternating voltage across the secondary coil through electromagnetic induction. Okay, they use the term magnetic flux means a lot of field, but you can still use the term magnetic field, no problem. Okay, then next, you will have this 10 marks questions where you need to construct the tables and diagram 10.2 show how a model of an electric transmission system can be set up in a laboratory, and the models consist of a power station that generates 12 volts of alternating current that transmit the electrical energy to the user using transmission wire and transformer P, Q, and R. Okay, so if you remember the application under transformer, okay, what you have to do when the power is generated in power plant, okay, so as you all know, when you want to deliver the current to all the house, you really need a long journey. You need all these transmission cable. So during transmission, definitely there will be power loss. If there is a power loss, then your purpose, you need to reduce this power loss. So in terms of material wise, normally we have a good material for the cable you use copper wire thick wire, or factor affecting the resistance or reduce resistance concept but normally we don't use copper also but copper is memang indeed a very good conductor, but it's expensive so most of the time we actually use aluminium. Okay, then next idea, you have to step up, step down. Okay, the idea for beginning part, when you transmit that time, you have to step up the voltage. You use step up. And then when they are towards your house, you step down again. So this is the idea behind it. So what can you do, or what is the purpose of step up the voltage? So when you generate the power, is actually I assume power generated is VI. So basically they are constant, or the power generated. Okay, but the power loss formula, we normally use P equals to I squared R. So like I say, you want to reduce power loss, either you reduce the resistance, like this case, or you reduce what? You can actually reduce current. So you see, when I want to reduce current and P is constant, what happened to your V? you have to increase a lot. That's why you need to step up first. So now you have some basic idea on the whole transmission line, and then we see what the questions want. Okay, you are required to set a model as in diagram 10.2 using the information in table 10 so that it can be function efficiently. Excuse me. Okay, so what is the information? You need to talk about what? The number of turns in primary coil and secondary coil of transformer P, Q, and R, and then show your calculation working. Actually, part 1 enable you to get 3 marks already because you need to show calculation and what is the turns that's suitable. Then next type of coil you will use in the transmissions, justify your choice, and the material you use for the wire. Okay. So now we will look at this P from 12 volt to become 24 volt. So we are actually using the ratio idea so this is VP VS primary secondary. So you find what is their ratio lah. VP over VS is actually 12 over 24. Then it's actually 1:2. So among these number, which one have the ratio of 1:2? 1,500 lor. Yeah, so this is how you say one. The MP is to NS is also 500 and also 1,000 lor. Then you also will have transformer Q. Q from this to this step down already, correct? So VP over VS become what? 24:8. So the ratio is 3:1. So which one is 3 times 1? 400 and 1,200 So MP and S will be 1,200 and 400. Can get the idea? And then for the R is from 24 to 6. Okay, so the ratio is 24 to 6. That means you will have 4:1. So which one is 4:1? Maybe we see the answer together. Okay. Okay. Oh, so you used 160 and 120 lah. Oh, sorry, I used the wrong value just now. It's supposed to be from 8 to 6, 8 to 6. No wonder cannot find the answer just now. Okay, yeah. So this is calculation, 1 mark, and then the reason you have to be specific, step up or step down. Yeah. Okay, so you get 6 marks on that already lor. Then what type of transformer core should you use? Solid copper core, laminated copper core, solid soft iron core, or laminated soft iron core. So under transformer, you know that there are 4 ways to increase the efficiency of a transformer one. Remember, you're supposed to use laminated soft iron core. So why normally we use soft iron core? Doesn't mean the core is very soft because they have this characteristic, easily magnetized and demagnetized. Then laminated idea is like you cut it into layer and then you stick it back to reduce the eddy current. We want the current to be induced in the core, in the wire, not in the core. But somehow there's current that produced in the core. We call them as eddy current. Yeah, so you see, easily magnetized, demagnetized is for the soft iron core idea. Then reduced eddy current is for laminated idea. Then what is the best material? It can be either or copper or aluminium lah. Okay, if copper, you can say a very good conductor. If aluminium, you can say actually they are cheap lah. And both basically they are considered lower resistant compared to the other 2 material lah. Yeah, they accept either one. But you no need to give aluminium and also copper, no need. You just give a 1 will do. Okay, then you perform all the answer in a table form. You remember perform the answer all in the table form. Now, in case you're really not enough time to perform in the table, but you always answer accordingly lah. Like what is the characteristic reason like dash, then reason, dash, reason. Actually can also like if you lack of time, like if not you always do in table form because yeah, it's easier for the marker to mark your answer. Okay, yeah. So now we're done with section B essay. We will proceed to section C. Sorry, still got one part on calculation. Now for part C, if the resistance of the transmission wire between transformer P and Q in the model is 30 ohm. So what calculate the current that flow in the transmission wire. So that one current they give you R. So basically, for this one, you can use V equals to IR idea. Okay, so you need to know what is the voltage. Okay, so basically the voltage between P and between P and Q is how much? Is actually 24 P and Q. So that's why you need to refer back the questions. Yeah, P and Q is 24. Then you use V equals to IR, I equals to V over R, and then you get 0.8 ampere. Then next, the power loss, just now I got mentioned, the formula for power loss is P equals to I square R. So 0.8 square times 30, and hence you get the answer 19.2 watt. So bear in mind, always show the unit substitution, and correct answer with unit, correct answer with unit. Okay, now we proceed to the last essay questions. Question is 11 in section C. Is called problem solving questions, and is actually compulsory answer. Compulsory answer. So diagram 11.1 and 11.2 show two ticker tapes with different lengths produced by the motion of two trolleys. So first state the type of physical quantity of length. So length is what type of quantity? You can have two answers. Is actually base or scalar quantity because no direction. Also, either one will do, but you only need to give one. Okay, next. Referring to diagram 11.1 and also diagram 11.2, compare the number of ticks, the length of the ticker tapes, and average velocity. Using your comparison above, state the relationship between length of ticker tapes and average speed. Next, state the relationship between distance between consecutive points and type of motion of object. So section C essay question, you always have these 5-mark questions, which is conceptualization questions, whereby I always tell students try your best to answer, because if you know how to see the diagram, you just compare accordingly. Of course, you need to know certain terms lah. So like this question, you need to know what is ticks are. If you do not know the term ticks, then you cannot do lah. So ticks mean the space in between two dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How about this one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically they have same. Next, compare the length. You know the ideal length, right? So which one is longer? 11.1 or 11.2? 11.2 longer. Then speed or velocity. So velocity idea is actually displacement over time, or the idea of length. So if you want, if this context long higher, that means the speed also higher, correct? Yeah. So the speed 11.2, the speed will be also greater also lah. Then what is the relationship between length and average speed? Increase, or higher. Oh, now I use short form to let you have some idea. Then I show you the answer one shot. And next, take the relationship between the distance between the consecutive points and the type of motion of an object. So if the space is the same gap, that means they are moving at constant velocity or uniform velocity. So this is the idea. So of course you do in point form, or sentences by sentences. You see, first point, you say what? The number of ticks at both diagram are the same. Then the length of ticker tape in diagram 11.2 is longer. Okay, the average speed for 11.2 is higher. As the length of ticker tape increases, the speed also increases, or you can use the term directly proportional. And lastly, when the distance between the consecutive points are same, the object moves with uniform velocity or constant velocity. Yeah, so 5 marks. Can all this type of question, yeah, is a compulsory answer. You cannot run away. You have to answer. So try the best, your best to get 5 marks lah. Okay, then C is a bit on concept. Diagram 11.3 show the patterns of oil drops which dropping at uniform rate on a road from a moving car. Explain the type of motion occur at the beginning and the final motion of the car. So basically, this is car, they got leak already on the oil. Can you tell teacher, is this part considered initial or this part considered initial? Where? 1 or 2 is initial. Starting point. Your car supposedly start at where? At the here, right? Correct? Then only the car move that time. I use a blue color as this car lah. You supposed to start here correct? Move tick 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 okay. But then you all don't confuse with ticker tape, Okay, so a lot of time I also tell student for ticker tape, right? If they give you a tape, a lot of dot. If they put the arrow left, that means the left side is initial. Why? Also imagine you have your paper or ticker tape. So this is a machine. Da, 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 da. So you see, if I pull left, that means it start at left. If I pull right, da, 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 da. So it start right. So ticker tape idea on this context is slightly different. Can of course now we focus on this one. So initial part. Okay, you see all the gap is big, same or not? Same. Also, you can give the idea initially they have a uniform velocity. Same gap like you walk in the same gap. Get the idea? But then you see this one, your gap is getting bigger or smaller. Smaller, that means you are like walk getting smaller and smaller steps. Get the idea? So you can say decelerate also. Okay, so how do you get 4 marks? So at the beginning, you say the distance between 2 consecutive oil drop is uniform, same. So you explain the pattern first. Then they move at uniform velocity or constant velocity. But at the final motion, the dots, the distance is getting shorter, right? Between 2 consecutive. Consecutive means the point next to each other lah. Or you say continuous also can. Okay, and therefore, like I say, you are moving with decreasing velocity or deceleration. Yeah, so this is how you get 4 marks for these conceptual questions, right? Yeah, then last part, problem solving question, 10 marks again. So they show you what? Diagram 11.1, 11.4 shows a lawn mower used by a gardener to cut grass. And the lawn mower is less efficient when used. And you're required to give some suggestion of modifications and reasons so that the lawn mower is more stable and can be used efficiently based on the aspects such as way to move the lawn mower, angle of theta, size of the cutter blade, mass of lawn mower, and also the length of the handle. So these are the 5 aspects that you have to focus on. How to move the lawn mower, angle, size of the cutter blade, mass of the lawn mower, and length of the handle. So indeed, they actually give 5 aspects also is good, or even though they didn't put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it means 5 aspect, 5 reason, or after you modify, then you give the reason. Okay, now, so as you know, when you use lawnmower, you want to cut the grass, you want the lawnmower to be exerted force to the ground, or is some kind while it lifted up like that. You're supposed to make sure that they are firm or towards it, right? So the way to move the lawnmower means should you push or you pull it? Get the idea? Okay, let's say we are push a red color one. When you push it, right, if you remember what you learned in resultant force, you can actually resolve the force. So what happened to your Fy when you resolve it? They are upward or downward? They are downward, correct? But then the blue color, if I were to resolve it in y-axis, it become upward law. So like I say, you want more downward force to the ground. So the way is actually you push it, you already get 1 mark. So more downward force. Okay, next, angle. This angle should it be big or small? So similarly, I want bigger downward force Fy. And of course, you need to know when you resolve it is cos or sine. So I always tell students, if this angle is away or not touching that component, by right, you suppose can have the component like this way x, this is Fx and Fy. If the angle touch, sorry, this is Fx, if touch, then it's cos. Not touch, then it's sine automatically one. So based on with respect to the pushing force or pulling force, so you have F sine theta. So I tell students to make sure you really clear about the idea. You can choose two value of angle lah. So assuming I compare sine 30 versus sine 60. Okay, press calculator, sine 30 is how much? 0.5. Sine 60 leh? 0.866. So you want bigger value so that you have bigger force or smaller value? Bigger value, right? That's why the angle should be big. You get another point already. Now, size of cutter. You want, you know lah, okay, if gardener they always all cover a big area, right? So you want to cut more grass, makes sense, right? It's big, okay? So big. Then mass of lawnmower, like say you want it to be on the ground. So should it be heavier or lighter? Heavier. So again, it should be bigger mass lah. And lastly, what should happen to the handle itself? The length of handle is the idea of effort, all this ma. So longer handle, better lah, less effort needed. So that's why your answer will be what? By pushing the lawnmower, why your Fy component acted downward is greater, is greater. I think better you'll say that. Oh, sorry, is memang downward. Larger typo error of theta increase the Fy component, the force on Fy component. Then bigger size of the cutter blade can cut more grass, larger mass of lawnmower, larger weight, larger total downward force. And lastly, longer handle, easily handling a lawnmower movement, or yeah, you will less force needed to push lah, or effort push the lawnmower. Okay, yeah, so this is how your answer section CSA questions lah. Yeah, so hope to see you all in the next paper. That's it for Terengganu paper 2. Thank you, class.